out of COVID lockdowns and everything is well, quite frankly, it's not all that great for my businesses, to be perfectly honest.
Well, I mean, we've seen, with mine too. I've seen some interesting things going on that we weren't expecting to see, and it's definitely different.
It's different. Yeah, I mean the lockdowns. Obviously, when lockdowns hit initially, everything stopped because no one knew what to predict, and that totally makes sense. But within certainly a month and probably even a little bit less than that, things kicked back off. And, 2020 we had one quarter that was way down, Q2. Yes. But by the end of the year over year, we were up. And then 2021 was up gangbusters from that. This year, it's not. In looking at it, 2021 was the anomaly. For us. I would say
we're normalizing again.
I would say the second half of 2020 was also an anomaly for us, but because the first half, especially Q2, was so dismal, it looked, just like zooming way out, 2020 looked like kind of a normal year for us, revenue wise. 2021 was gangbusters, and now it's. I mean, it's fine. Like I say, it's bad for us. It's not terrible for us. Like things are fine. Things are great. In fact, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, if I take the last
observation,
if I take the last 5 years, there's this bump up that was 2021, and
correct.
We're not seeing that yet here. But I have this feeling that we will. I think people really liked being at home. In a lot of ways, not all of the ways, mind you, right?
Not all of them.
It got a little bit oppressive and all of that, and there were certainly some dark things about it all for sure. But I think we as a people generally learned that we like we can spend more time at home, and that's a good thing. And there's things we can do at home, and I think we learned a whole lot more about what that is. We're not just using our houses as places where we sleep when we're not out working or doing things. There's people that are now working at home that weren't before, people that are doing more staycation-y type of things. And sure. I think right now what we're seeing is a bit of a reaction to that. Everybody that can is traveling. Everybody's sort of getting out of their houses. But I think come the fall, I think we are going to see it, the kind of the leaving the houses thing subside. And I think the new normal, if you will, to use a phrase that sucks, but I think it's accurate. I think that's going to have people at home more, and people at home, it turns out is good for the businesses I have.
Well, and that's a good point. Is what type of businesses?
Right.
Because we've been talking for a few weeks about how to do well during a downturn and different things. So it depends on the positioning of your business. Mm-hmm. In my historical perspective, when I look at my companies, especially technology related companies, that we've always been one step behind the latest technology, and always like we were in the refurbished and the pre-owned market. Yep. And in the repair market. Those they all thrive during downturns and recessions because people are trying to save money, and make their dollar go further. And I would say I have that, handbag side hustle. It's the same thing. It's like, I don't have $1,000 to buy a new bag, but boy, I'd like that, and I need it, and it's $500. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So right.
It's interesting.
And you're absolutely right. This is just, specific to my businesses. They just happen to be the types of things where, I mean, if I was in the travel industry, well, it'd be 100% different. Yeah. But
our vacation rentals did, like, to your point, were off the charts last year because people weren't getting on planes, but they still wanted to go places. And so our rentals where people could drive to them, it was unbelievable. I mean, the numbers were off the charts, and it was just great.
Given how air travel, how much of a disaster air travel is right now, I think come this fall, as people sort of get through their initial waves of, I'm going to try it out, and it's like, wow, they lost my luggage, they did this, it was delayed. This is much worse than it was before. I think people are going to do less of that. So you might see an uptick for your ski season next year.
Yeah. Oh, I think so. Yeah. It's just an interesting how. Well, I think it's a couple things. One is knowing that not all businesses slow down during a slowdown or a downturn.
It took me a while to be able to admit that. I felt really bad in 2020 and even early 21, saying, oh yeah, actually this is really good for us. Like, it's terrible.
And it's another argument for not just having one company. It's that whole talent stack, revenue stack, and spreading things out. And being able to say, well, I have this business, and maybe you we're toying with the travel business or the food business for some reason, and that
because you like suffering. Yeah.
Yes, correct. Well, some people love food, right? They just can't live without it. But there are some.
I can't live without food. I believe that to be true. I can live without running a food service business. Yeah.
I'll give you a great example though. There's tons of in the food industry businesses that have done great are food businesses that help people cook at home.
Oh, for sure.
Off the charts, right? Yeah. And I'm not just talking about the food like the Blue Apron and all that stuff, food delivery where you cook it. Yeah. Even I have a big smoker and I smoke different kinds of meat and all kinds of different foods, and I love doing it. And there are tons of content creators that have created terrific businesses that have similar to what we're talking about. We're off the charts during COVID.
I believe it.
Because people were home and they're like, well, I want to learn something new. I want to do this. I want to do that. And they were just eating it up. And a couple of folks I follow, Meat Church is one that guy's done just incredible during the slowdown, as well as like Hey Grill Hey. This is a woman that's got a great site that just produce, and they do everything from selling recipes to different rubs and barbecue sauces and all that stuff. And I've seen those businesses just explode. So great idea to diversify your small business stable if you can.
If you can. Yeah. The one interesting data point I will share, and it is data is the wrong word. It is an anecdote. But in the advertising supported business, which is generally pretty much everything I run. When there are, I've always said we are the leading indicator in that advertising spends and marketing spends are leading indicators both into and out of downturns. Earlier this year, we saw a lot of spends kind of get either pulled back or not renewed. Q2 was actually, it wasn't like Q2 of 2020 for us, but it was slower than an average Q2 for us. And now that we've entered Q3, just the last 7 to 10 days, we have seen so much activity happening. Oh, and so it's like, okay, maybe, I think other people are looking at this Q4 thing and even late Q3 as this time when consumer spending is going to be there in things that aren't, travel and leaving your house kind of thing. So I'm curious to see how it comes together. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what are we talking about today? What's the plan?
Well, we should have a plan, and the good news is we do. We're following on to our hiring tips episode last week. So if you didn't hear 388, you can go listen to our hiring tips from last week, and so we're taking the other side of that coin today to talk about handling layoffs.